Welcome back to Beyond the Claim, unfiltered insurance and adjuster talk. Now, I want to talk about the Texas floods. This is something very emotional for me as a person and also as a claim adjuster because I see both sides of the coin with this. This is very emotional. If you all have been following me for my last episodes, you all will know that I have been stressing that if it rains, it can flood. And on Friday, families are standing in waist deep floodwaters. Their homes, their cars, and their memories, they're all gone. And I'm going to tell you something. Those are some of the things that are replaceable. But in this flood situation, lives have been lost. We're talking about adults and children. Now, when I think about that, it sort of brings tears to my eyes or my heart hurts because I know how it feels to lose someone unexpectedly and someone that you are expecting to lose. In this episode, I want to stress something to those who understand death, loss, and also understanding that life has to go on. And we have to do this as a community, right? I want to make it clear to you all that just in a few days, the news cameras are going to pack up. They're going to move on to the next headline. Right now, this is the headline. This is the story. This is where you could use it as something political. You can say, well, if they didn't cancel this, maybe they would have had a good enough warning of how much rain was going to come. I do believe, and I say to you all, we can't use this as a political headline. We're talking about people, human beings like myself and like you. Politics sometimes have to move out the door. It takes a back seat to lives that are lost and families that are destroyed, homes that are gone. And then they're going to have to pick up the pieces, The truth is, this is going to be a hard recovery for those who have lost loved ones and for those who are standing in their homes in waist deep water. Yeah. Let me just show you a video right quick of what I saw, a couple of them. And it hurts, when I'm watching this. It didn't affect me, right? But it does affect me. I'm a person first. And I can feel other people's pain with just hearing their voice or looking at their situation. That is the human part of me. But I also have another side of me, which is the adjuster side. And it also hurts when I see people standing in waist deep water and I already know it's not going to be covered. Let me just show you this right here.
Getting bigger, and it was going up to, we have bunk beds in our cabins, and it was going up to the top bunk, and we had one choice and we had to swim out of our cabins.
Campers from Camp La Junta lucky to be alive this morning after they say they had to swim out of their cabins during flash floods in Kerr County. That camp just a few miles up the Guadalupe River from Camp Mystic. That's where more than 20 campers are still missing this morning.
Can you imagine that? Just having a skill of knowing how to swim saved those boys' lives. See, we think, those are little things, I can't swim, or you don't know when those skills are going to have to come in and you're going to have to swim up out that water. They had to swim out of their camp. Can you imagine that? And then there's even more people that are missing, children that are missing, that was at Camp Mystic. And I beg the political people to not make this a political pawn or target, or this side didn't do right or that side didn't do right. These are lives that are lost. These are homes that are going to need the most help ever. Look at this video here. They're searching for survivors. This is catastrophic. This is something that is very serious. These waters didn't just recede. They stayed and they continue to swell. When I see these type of things, like I said, as a human being, as a human, my heart goes out because I know they weren't prepared for a flood. And truthfully, that kind of flood, I don't even know if we can even prepare for that, because they knew rain was coming, but they didn't know how much. They didn't know how much was going to fall. And I got an alert on my phone because I keep an alert on my phone that give me different things that are going on in the country, weather-wise, because I'm an adjuster as well. I got an alert on my phone that their news came out and say, hey, if you're in these areas, you're going to need to take cover. You're going to need to evacuate. But at that time, it was a little bit too late because that river began to swell. And when that water comes in, that water will take over quickly. You barely have any type of chance to react when it comes to that water. I want to show you one more video. Okay, you have to cut this one, and I'm going to say it again. I want to show you one more video. This is what recovery looks like. This is how it looks after a flood. This is exactly how it looks. And then once the flood goes, cleanup comes. This is how it looks. It is so destructive. Flood is destructive. That water is destructive. Now, I did see, I don't have the clip for it, but I did see a young woman. She was on TikTok and she was asking for someone to bring a boat to come and get her dad. And when she showed her dad, he was lying in the bed like my mother was. A total assist, meaning that he can't get out the bed. So, and I saw the water up to the bed. The children were standing on the sofas. And she said, it's starting to smell like sewage in here. Can someone send a boat? That is serious. And my heart went out because my mom not long ago was in one of those beds, a total assist. And I knew my mom couldn't move. If my mom was in that water, she would have drowned because she could not move. That was heartbreaking for me to see that. And I don't know if she got help or not, but I would really love to know that her father was rescued. She said, if you can, just come get my dad. That is love. That's love. But I just want to let you all know, when I looked at that home, all that water in that home, the furniture was floating everywhere. Everything was everywhere. And I said to myself, the truth is, most of these families have no flood insurance. None of this damage is going to be covered. And the sad part is, who is going to come and rescue them financially? That's a hard truth. You know, I did an episode about Texas not long ago. And a lot of Texas homeowners didn't even carry standard homeowners insurance. So I know they didn't have flood insurance. They didn't even carry the basic of homeowners insurance. Why do you invest in something that costs so much and you're not going to make sure you have the insurance, the coverage, if anything was to happen? You know, someone said to me one time, you know, insurance is a scam. That is just a scam. And I beg to differ. And I say, listen, I'm an adjuster and I pay what is owed. I look at that policy and my goal is to find you coverage. But the thing is, I would prefer to have someone to fight with than no one at all. I would prefer to have a piece of a policy that I can go to an insurance company and say, you owe me. And honey, we're gonna fight it out until I can't fight anymore, until my home is repaired. I would prefer to have someone to fight with than no one at all, just standing there hoping that someone will help. As an insurance adjuster, I've seen it over and over. I'm telling you, standard homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage. It just does not cover it. And I'm telling you, if you look at the recent news, anytime rain has come lately in these thunderstorms, this severe weather, it is flooded. A separate flood policy, it has to become a part of our norm. If we're going to invest in these homes that we call a home, and we're fixing our credit and we're putting money aside to be a part of the American dream, to own a home, you got to have some piece of a policy. I don't care. I know some people say, well, the deductible is so high. Hey, you never know. If a storm, if a flood come through like that, oh, that's gonna eat up that deductible. You don't even worry about that deductible, because that whole house is gonna have to be gutted and redone all over again. So listen, I would prefer to have someone to fight with than no one at all, right? So what I want you to know, that it doesn't matter if you're in a high risk zone or in a neighborhood that's never flooded before. I'm telling you, and I'm gonna keep saying it again, if it rains, it can flood, right? If you don't have a separate flood policy, you're going to be on your own. And this is serious. You're going to be on your own, because we have to understand. I think that the problem is going to get worse, I believe, especially with climate change. And I know a lot of people don't believe in climate change, but as an adjuster, I do, because I see it with my very eyes, my own eyes. I'm looking at these claims. I'm looking at weather. And I'm going to tell you guys again, when these hurricanes come, yes, you have those high winds. I would prefer for my roof to blow off than a flood. And what has come with these hurricanes lately? Flooding. That's all you hear is flooding. And standard insurance don't cover it. I'm going to say it again. Standard insurance does not cover flood. You're going to have a separate flood policy, because I'm going to tell you something. I really believe it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And right now, FEMA is quietly dismantling piece by piece. And I know maybe this administration is saying, well, FEMA will go away for the next hurricane season. FEMA won't be here anymore. FEMA's not here now. They're doing it little bit by little bit, almost as if you don't see what's happening. But what is going on is that it's just not being told through mainstream media. Programs that used to help families recover are already being cut. Programs that will help the community rebuild, those are gone. Louisiana lost a huge program. I did an episode about that. They lost that. This administration cut that. So my plea to you all is that we have to really start looking out for ourselves and understanding, as consumers, we have a voice. We can pick and choose who we give our monies to. And we're at this point, we're going to have to be our brother's keeper, our sister keepers. I'm telling you. And I know this political thing has really torn families apart, but now is not the time. I think this whole political gimmick is to tear us apart, to where we can't be our brother's keepers or our sister's keeper, to where we're mad with each other and cause chaos. But we have to flip it on its head and actually be our brother's keeper, our sister's keeper, right? So what happens next when storms come? I'm going to tell you what you can do. And this isn't about fear. This is about taking action before you're the one standing in waist deep water. You can't hide from it. I just feel like it's coming. Here are 3 things that you can do right now. You can check your flood zone. Even if you think you're safe, talk to your insurance agent. understand how a flood policy can protect you. And honestly, they're not that much. If you take a look at it and start really researching, they're not that much more to add that coverage on, So definitely talk to your agent about getting a flood policy before you lose everything, so you don't lose everything. I want you to start a disaster fund, even if it's just a little at a time. Because on top of flooding, you have other disasters can happen. And you don't want to have to go into your main account. You have already said, you know what, if a disaster come my way, I have this money set aside to go along with whatever help I get. Now, if FEMA was to come in at this point, that would be great. But I don't know, guys. I also work with FEMA. I have a number of coworkers, people that I know that work with FEMA. They're on standby. They have not been called out to any of these disasters. Just a few. I'll say about 7 of them out of the 70 something that I went to a FEMA training with. Did about 2 months. Yeah. I think about 6 of us have been called out, actually. The rest of us are on standby. Right? And I'm going to say we need to have a call for community. We have to look out for each other, because tomorrow headline is going to move on. And when the dust settles, we're going to need each other. You're going to be trying to rebuild your life. Those cameras, the headline news, they're going to be gone. We are our brother's keepers. We are our sister's keeper. This is what we have to do. Now, I was so happy when I saw a headline where it says HEB Grocer in San Antonio. They're based out of San Antonio, Texas. I saw those 18-wheelers coming down the road with supplies. When I tell you, it brought tears to my eyes. I was so elated. I was so happy. I even read that AT&T set up a disaster resource center. This is the type of community involvement that we need. HEB Grocer, I say this, if you're in the area, that's where you need to shop at, because they're going to invest right back into your community if anything happened. AT&T, I'm not a fan of, but they came to the rescue. They set up disaster resource center to where you can come and set up for Wi-Fi. You can get in contact with your family. You can still continue to do life, right? These are the type of businesses that earns our money because they put back into the community. USAA, workforce, sending volunteers. Okay, USAA, I see you. I bank with USAA. That's my main bank. So these are the type of companies that you want to put your hard-earned dollars in. Me personally, all insurance companies should have some type of response, even though they may, some of your, because we already know that no flood is going to be covered, but at least have a team, a workforce team like USAA have, to come in and do a little helping. Allstate, State Farm, Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's. It's time to kick in, and consumers, we can control that. If they don't come back and invest into our communities when we have these hardships, or even when we don't have hardships, invest in our children, invest in our infrastructure. It is up to us now. I think we relied on the government too much. It is time for us to come together and make sure that we know what we need to know. There's a guy that I follow for storm tracking. His name is Max Velocity on YouTube. I just stumbled on him, and he's right on the money. He talks about that rain. He talks about that torrential rain is going to come down in Texas. He sure did. These are the type of things that we need to start supporting, because we cannot depend on the government anymore. We just can't do that. We got to come together as a community. And listen, if you've been affected by flooding, or if you ever been left on your own after a disaster, share your story in the comments. Share your story. We're here for you. We want to know your story. Maybe we can help put together, community efforts in your area put a call out to someone to come and help in your community to show how your home was damaged, how you need help. Maybe we can put the word out to like a Home Depot or a Lowe's where they can put a team together. They can choose some houses to come in and put back together again. Maybe we can do that. Share your story. This is how we can keep the story going, because mainstream media, they're going to be gone in a couple of days. Your headline won't be headline anymore. You're going to be like the fourth story that they bring up, and they're going to talk about it for maybe about 2 minutes. I'll even give it 30 seconds. All right. So another thing I want you to do, download my claim game plan toolkit. You want a game plan, and this will definitely help you start preparing today. It is free. So it's in the comments. It is free. It is down there in the comments. You click on there and it's going to give you your game plan. So where you can help cover yourself, protect yourself, prepare. Me personally, I don't think that we could have prepared for this flood that came through. Now the kids could have been gone if they would have got enough timing, or someone would let them know to evacuate sooner. I heard that this sort of came in the night. So that's why I said, I don't know if anything would have stopped this. Mother Nature is a beast in itself. And sometimes we can't even get ahead of it. We think we can prepare, but when it comes through, we just have to look to see what the aftermath is. And I do call on those communities, the people that's in those communities, to help out your neighbors. They're going to need you. They're going to need you. And listen, I'm trying to get to protecting 5,000 homeowners. Subscribe. I'm going to continue to bring you unfiltered insurance talk. This is what I do. The big companies don't want you to hear. It's almost as if they want you to not be covered, or we're dispendable. We're not. We can do this together. Hey, stay safe, stay prepared, and remember, no one will care about your home more than you. Okay? Just remember that. Stay covered, stay educated, and always keep it beyond the claim. Until next time, talk to you later.